Let's take a closer look at the Black Series 6-inch figure of Senator Mon Mothma from Star Wars Andor.
Villa Varykino, living the Star Wars life.
Hello there, and thanks for visiting the Villa Varykino YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be unboxing the Black Series 6-inch figure of Senator Mon Mothma from the Disney Plus series Star Wars Andor. I love Mon Mothma as a character. I think she had some fantastic scenes in the Andor series and some fantastic outfits, and I'm very keen to see how well she has been done in the Hasbro Black Series 6-inch line. So before I open it up, I'm going to take a closer look at the packaging. This is of course part of Hasbro's perhaps short-lived plastic-free packaging Black Series, where we cannot see the figure inside. We have this kind of shiny print of the figure on the front. It seems as though they have listened to fan reactions to this and are going to return it to the windowed packaging. But for now, we're still seeing some of this style coming through. This figure has only just recently arrived in New Zealand, perhaps a little late, especially since the series has finished airing, but nonetheless I'm very excited to open it up. We have very pretty art of Senator Mon Mothma down the side. We have a sort of an orange color for the packaging for the Andor series, for the Black Series. And then we have a picture of a figure on the back with some text. In an era filled with danger, deception, and intrigue, Cassian Andor embarks on a path that will turn him into the rebel hero who will challenge the evil galactic empire. Which is kind of odd. It doesn't actually mention Senator Mon Mothma. I don't know if that is a misprint. It is describing Cassian rather than Mon Mothma. I don't know if this is just the generic text for the Andor series, but it doesn't necessarily talk about the character of Mon Mothma specifically. You can see that this figure is number 7 from the Andor line, and we have that orange stripe there. A picture of the figure with the size indication there. This one is 5.7 inches or 14.5 centimeters, and that plastic-free packaging note there on the side. They have a cardboard hanger for these ones, which I'm not the biggest fan of. These do tend to get a little bit damaged if they're being hung at your local store. But anyway, pretty simple classic packaging. Let's dive in and get this figure out so we can take a closer look. I'm curious to see, it doesn't appear that this figure comes with any accessories. She doesn't really hold that much in the show. We don't really see her with weapons. Her storyline is much more of the sort of political intrigue on Coruscant. So let's take a look. I'm also crossing my fingers that this one will have a good face paint, because there's not too much to this figure, so I'm really hoping it looks pretty. So we've got a cardboard slip insert, and the figure is wrapped in tissue paper. Slides out, no accessories there. Okay, so we've got the figure wrapped up in that Black Series branded tissue paper. And there we have her. Okay, so taking a closer look, I think that is a pretty good face paint and face sculpt there. We've got an interesting, quite a gloss on the hair. That's quite cool. We've got tiny little earrings there. We have some sort of really pretty details. I think this is pretty much sculpted in this sort of cream plastic, so there's not going to be too much of a paint job. But we've got this sort of champagne gold detail here with her brooch. Very small little brooch there, and these sort of chains that hang across the front. A little buckle there. We have gold on the inside of her sleeve. That is really pretty. Got a tiny bit of sort of paint around here, but not too bad. Pretty simple bag. We can see the detail lines of her costume and her jacket, which is all sculpted together. That isn't necessarily put over the top. I think that's sculpted as one piece. And then we've got her shoes and details down the bottom. We can see that there are sort of legs under there. We've got the copyright detail on the inside of her skirt section there. So overall, not a complicated figure. I do see that there is articulation on her legs, around her ankles and her knees and such. But because of the sort of column structure to her costume, that's almost not really going to matter if we stand her back. We'll need a little bit of adjustment to get her to stand, but generally you're not really going to be putting her in some wild poses. She's generally going to be standing. Obviously with a sculpt like this, you can't make her sit down, but we don't really have any sort of accessory benches or couches or anything like that, because we generally see her standing, or those scenes with her and her husband in the speeder on Coruscant or things like that. So let's just take a look at the articulation that we do have of this figure. Classic head articulation here. We can see that the her sort of collar goes down and is sort of part of the neck, and there's not, I can't sort of grip that to turn that, so the articulation is just around the jawline there as expected. We have some pretty clean articulation in the arms. The arm movement's not hindered by her costume, which is nice. And we can see the very obvious elbow joints here. There's really not too many ways that they could do that. It does look a little odd because obviously her cape is sculpted in a hanging position. So if you put her arms up, the fabric kind of defies gravity a little bit there, but you do get a little bit of posability there if you really want. We have a little bit of movement at the wrists, and this hand is sculpted as if she is potentially going to hold a blaster, which is a little bit odd. This one is a bit more of a neutral hand. It doesn't even look like she would really grip anything besides maybe like a data pad. She's kind of got her hand out like that, with these sort of fingerless gloves on there. So I like the gold on the inside of the sleeve here. So yeah, just those standard articulation points. I think this one, you know, realistically speaking, is going to be posed basically as she came out of the box with her arms down. I think that is the best pose, but just because it just does look a little bit odd when you that one's got quite a stiff joint actually. When you bend it up, it starts to create some awkward angles with that fabric there. Let's see if I can click that back into place. Okay, there. Yeah, so just a little bit of flex, very, very small. I'm looking at things close up here just on that, but honestly, you could probably almost scratch that off because I'm pretty sure everything is sculpted out of this plastic, and this is going to be top painted. A little bit of an interesting sort of painted panel here that's a slightly different color tone to the rest of it. That is attached to the front skirt. Pretty clean detail there. Nicely painted edges, nothing too messy there. Tiny little sculpting on her shoes. See if I can open her skirt up, you can see her shoes in there, and she's kind of got like stockings that go up, or boots, and then she's got joints at the knees. You can just kind of see, sorry, I'm looking up under her skirt but trying to show the articulation because I can't really bend the legs, but there is articulation there, which is kind of funny because of this big overcoat, which is not removable. We can sort of see like a gap in here, but it's not one of those ones where it kind of clamshells around the figure and you can take it off. This one is very, very much solidly all over. There are no sort of seams down the side. Some of the, I'm thinking of like there's a classic white layer where her sort of dress is sort of like clamshelled over sort of a white underbody, and you can kind of see, you know, how they've put it on the figure. This one is fully seamed. There are no joins where you can sort of split it and take it off to give different outfit options. So a fairly simple figure, no accessories. You know, I thought maybe they'd give her something like a data pad, or perhaps, you know, just something to hold, but I guess they're trying to be a little bit more realistic with their accessories. You know, this isn't the old 90s era where they would just give random accessories to characters so they had something to hold. But overall, obviously the main thing is getting the costume right, It looks good. She stands reasonably well. You know, got a little bit of maneuverability there at the ankles in case yours is just a little bit off balance. But I think the main part about this one is going to be that face sculpt, and it really, really does look like the actress who plays Mon Mothma, Genevieve. I think she's got such an iconic look in the show, and I think that they have captured her face pretty well, all the way down to those tiny details like her earrings and obviously her eyes. And I quite like the look of the hair, very sort of glossy. And yeah, a little bit of an odd hand pose there. I think it could have just been just a little bit nicer just to have that same hand, but honestly that is very, very minimal. Perhaps we will see Mon Mothma pick up a blaster in an upcoming series, so we've got that hand ready there to pose with a blaster should we see that. But I think that is a pretty good figure. I know that, you know, it's not the most actiony character, but she is important in the series. So I'm glad that they didn't just skip over her and do some of the ones with blasters and more sort of exciting poses and accessories. I'm glad that they didn't miss her out because she is so important. I hope to see much more Andor merchandise, particularly in the TVC and Black Series lines. I really did enjoy the show, and I'm looking forward to building a fantastic Andor section in my figure collection. So there you have it, a great figure. Glad that her paint job on the face is looking good. No major flaws, you know, because with the blind packaging you can't really look at the ones on the shelf and pick your favorite one, but there, I'm very happy. Glad to have her in my collection. Thank you so much for watching. Do check out our other videos for more Star Wars unboxings. Catch you in the next one, and as always, may the Force be with you.
If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a like, check out our other videos, and subscribe for alerts about new uploads. Thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.